Okay, we're going to take things just a little bit out of order this evening. Last month, we introduced ordinance number 235, adoption of the zoning map, which is consistent with the adoption of the 2018 comprehensive plan. So we're going to enter into a public hearing to discuss and vote on that, and then we'll go back into the normal part of the agenda. So if somebody would like to make a motion to close the business meeting and enter into public hearing.
Make a motion, we close the business meeting for December 11th and enter the public hearing.
Go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So again, I guess everybody's had a chance to look at that. We had brief discussions last month. Again, that's just something that's normal course of business as part of the approval of the comprehensive plan. So if anybody has any questions, any discussions, concerns, we can talk about those, and then if not, we'll move forward with a vote. Okay, do we have a motion to adopt ordinance number 235, adoption of the zoning map?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the zoning map under ordinance number 235.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good, thank you. Okay, well that was quick. So if someone would like to make a motion to leave the public hearing and go back into the business meeting?
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing and go back to the business meeting for December 11th, 2018.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good. Okay, next, approval of the November 2018 minutes.
Excuse me.
Everybody should have a copy of that.
I'll make a motion, we approve the November 13th, 2018 minutes as printed.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Okay, next. Receipt of the October 2018 Treasury Report and November 2018 check register. Everybody should have those.
I'll make a motion, we accept the October 2018 Treasurer's Report and the November 2018 check register.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Okay, Mayor's Report, just a couple items to mention. Unfortunately, Friday yard waste pickup has ended for the year and will start again in April. Town offices will be closed on Monday, December 24th and Tuesday, December 25th. Offices will also be closed on Tuesday, January 1st. Christmas tree pickup will be on Friday, January 11th and Friday, January 18th. Please remove all decorations and the tree stand so the guys can take those away. Snow information, please remember that all town streets are snow emergency routes. When the snow emergency plan is in effect, parking is prohibited. If possible, please keep hydrants free from snow. And then the last note is everybody should have a copy. Mr. Schilling came to last month's meeting to ask some questions about parking on Forest Street, so everybody should have a copy of his memo that he sent in. And that's it for the Mayor's Report. Town Administrator Report, Steve?
Council, you received the Town Administrator's Report today, also the Director of Public Works Report today, and also the Police Report today via email. To speed things up, we thought we'd transfer those via email. Do you have any questions for myself, Director of Public Works, or the Police Chief, as another engagement tonight and could not make it?
No questions from me? Everything was nice and clear?
Very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, Director of Public Works Report.
As Steve mentioned, you received the DPW report and the monthly data report via email. I'd like to draw your attention to those. If you have any questions, I'm open to any questions, but I do want to touch on one question that was posed last month. There was a cybersecurity question on our water wastewater system. And we did check into this. We are very secure. It's a standalone system. It's called the industry's term is our SCADA system. That's the controls that monitors and controls our wastewater pumps, our water pumps, and our water levels in our tanks. Again, it's a standalone system. There's no access through the internet, so it would be extremely difficult for someone to pick on the town of Manchester. So that being said, any questions on the water report or DPW report?
No questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, and I think everybody has a copy of this also, was introduction of ordinance number 236, modifying the R40 for annexation after October 1st, 2018. I'll read just a couple of excerpts from that so everybody has an idea what that is. It's an ordinance that provides for certain additional zoning criteria in the R40,000 district for properties annexed into the town of Manchester after October 1, 2018. Again, I'm not going to read this entire thing. Whereas Mayor and Town Council, the Mayor and Council of the Town of Manchester have adopted the 2018 Manchester Comprehensive Plan, which identifies municipal growth areas in accordance with land use article of the Annotated Code of the State of Maryland for potential annexation into the town. And whereas an objective stated in the plan on pages 47 and 57 is to require newly annexed land into town with R40,000 zoning to cluster lots derived therefore to promote less expensive infrastructure, design and construction, and generate desired open space. And generally speaking, what that means is if somebody is developing a 1 acre lot, to cluster that, they'll build on half of that, and then the other half is deemed a clustering or open space that the town can use for other purposes. So that's generally what that means. And again, there's a desire to do that because then it creates less infrastructure for the town. If we're on a 100 acre piece of property, infrastructure there could just be enormous to have to run things through there, as opposed to just having one small area that's where all the development is, and then the infrastructure is applied there. The other place could be used other parts for open space. So that's in a nutshell what that means. So we're just introducing that. Next year we'll go into next month into a public hearing to vote. But does anybody have any questions before we move on from that? Okay, we're moving right along. Any questions or comments from the community? Did anybody sign in?
Hi, I missed last month's meeting, but I was here the month before regarding a citation about my chickens.
I'm sorry, if you could just state your name again, if you would.
Michelle
please.
Martin, 3053 Main Street, Manchester.
Thank you.
This is in regard to a zoning, I guess an ordinance violation. I had gone to the zoning committee and asked for a clarification of the definition of agriculture as written in section 250, 125. Instead of giving me a clarification of that, they just reiterated what you all have in the 250-66J, I guess, regulation about agriculture is anything that's considered as being in a feeding pen or building. But that wasn't my question, so I have to go back to them, so I'm requesting another 60-day extension on my citation.
I don't recall exactly what they had determined. I know they wanted to reach back out for clarification on some definitions. And you said that they did not answer your question.
They did not give a clarification at all. They just reiterated what was already written in the code.
You're on a 60-day extension now?
It
Well,
expires today.
Okay, and it was a 60-day extension. You already have one, I'm just asking.
From October.
From October. Okay. I just wanted to remember the date. Okay.
My question was, your definition in the Code of Agriculture states for any sale or use. And then it lists all these things that are currently in my yard. Vegetable garden, fruit trees, grass, shrubs, things like that. So my question was, shouldn't there be some sort of definition regarding agricultural use of your land as opposed to personal use of your land?
Mrs. Martin, and for the council's clarification, we sent it to our legal team in reference to the definition of agriculture as it's stated in our code.
Yes.
Our legal team wrote back with the definition that you folks received a copy of, and also planning and zoning folks received a copy of their opinion of the definition of agriculture as it's stated in our code.
Right. I understand that you reiterated what is already in the code. My question is, the code does not allow for any type of personal use. Anything on my land that's considered vegetables or fruits or enclosure is considered agricultural. My question is, you've left no leeway for personal use. I have a vegetable garden. That vegetable garden would be in violation of your code according to the way you've defined agriculture. Now, if you say for sale or, for sale or use other than personal, then I don't have a problem with that. But you've negated any right I have to do anything with my land.
I think one of the words in the definition of agriculture as it states in our code is crops, if I'm not mistaken. Crops is a lot different than a vegetable garden.
Well, animal husbandry and poultry raising are a lot different also. It's not like I'm Purdue and have 500 chickens in a big building.
Ms. Martin, I'm Michelle Wilder, zoning administrator. I did speak to the legal, and the definition of agricultural is fine as it stands. The
That's
only
fine.
issue was the distance requirement, and that only pertains to feeding pens or the buildings that they're in. So agricultural, as far as your gardens or corn or anything of that nature, does not have a distance requirement. So yes, if you are zoned that you can have agricultural use, you could have a garden, you can have corn, you can have whatever you want.
I'm not zoned for agricultural use, am I?
You have in your zoning, which your business local, one of your permitted accessory uses is agricultural. You can do agricultural.
So that doesn't come under the 200-yard distance?
No, the distance only applies to the actual farm animals, not the
Okay.
crops.
You seem to have carved out in your code an enclosure for dogs, and if you're raising dogs and breeding dogs, you can have a dog enclosure. But you're considering anything other than that to be agriculture. I don't have a feeding pen. I have an aviary. My chickens go out every day and they feed in their yard. They go in their aviary at night because that's how I protect them from predators.
Okay, and I brought that to the attention of the lawyer. I said, what if she doesn't have a pen? And he said, is her yard fenced in? Yes. Well, then that's considered their pen, because otherwise they could run anywhere. So they are essentially pinned in. So that is what our legal came back to me with, and that is what
But
we-
if I had a dog in my yard, you would not consider that agricultural.
I don't consider a dog a farm animal.
I don't
It's not-
consider my chickens a farm animal.
Well, unfortunately, a chicken is a farm animal.
Not necessarily,
And
not
I
if
thought the
I'm not
definition did
farming them.
include fowl.
It says fowl.
Yeah,
It says fowl.
yes.
Right, it says poultry, but that doesn't make all fowl and all poultry agricultural. That is my contention right there. My use is not for an agricultural purpose. My use is for a personal nature. I code for Johns Hopkins. I do medical coding for Johns Hopkins. 80% of the CTs of the abdomen that I see diagnose people with a fatty liver. The reason we have a fatty liver and people aren't alcoholics is because our livers are supposed to filter natural toxins in our system. Our food supply is so overloaded with toxins that we have diseases we didn't have 30 years ago because of the NGOs, the genetically modified stuff, and the toxins that we put in our food. I have my chickens because I choose to live a life that's closer to my food production than the grocery store. It's a personal choice that I make. Your definition of agriculture is impeding my personal choice of the way that I choose to feed myself.
But ma'am,
clothe
can I
myself.
clarify? We didn't make this code or this rule because of your chickens. This has been in place for many,
Right.
many years.
I understand.
We have for many years said no chickens.
No, it doesn't say that. It
Wh-
says
excuse
you
me,
can't have
we have had
crops.
we have had people come in with a similar type thing, and we have said no. Chickens are covered in agriculture as far as our town code. I believe the way it's written states that we feel that chickens are agricultural, whether I choose to believe they're agricultural or not.
That's the issue that I have.
Were there any complaints about the chickens?
It was complaint-driven, the entire
Okay.
violation. yeah.
Before I fenced them in and built their aviary so that there's netting on top of it, so the birds can't get them and they can't get out. My question,
I don't believe it was that, some of the complaint was just the dirtiness, they just didn't want the chickens, and they wanted to know if they were allowed. Well, according to our town code, no, they're not, where you live. So,
my neighbors don't have a problem with them.
I don't,
But if I
And it wasn't
recall
the dirtiness
correctly-
at first, it was that they were out loose, was what you had originally told me.
If I recall correctly, you said you were going to get a petition signed by all of your neighbors saying that they were okay with it to bring back.
Initially, you all said I said, can I keep them in my garage? And you said, yes, as long as they're inside. So I said that to the zoning committee, and they're like, oh, no, you can't have a building either. The definition becomes anything that's kept in a pen is somehow deemed to be agricultural. But a dog can be in a dog run, and that's not agricultural.
well, that definition is pretty specific to poultry. It doesn't say all pens, it says,
If
certain amount.
I'm raising them as a crop, I understand. My problem with your definition of agriculture is there's no leeway for my personal use.
I understand that. It's just the zoning that you are located in. And we've had a lady who had them as pets because her child was autistic, and they still weren't allowed to be according to the code. So I don't see a special exception here.
But her zoning does allow for agriculture. The
Does,
issue, the
if
issue
you
is
can
the
meet the
distance
distance.
from your neighbors. That's the issue, is the
Right.
distance.
My neighbors don't have a problem with it.
But our code doesn't say this is the
Right.
rule unless neighbors don't have a problem.
Okay. So then, if you think that agriculture pertains to everything, including all personal use, I still have an issue with that, because that impinges on my personal rights. But if you have a problem with the distance, then where did you come up with that amount, and how is that relevant today?
I have one question. How long has this been in force?
Forever.
The ordinance, the agricultural definition?
It didn't go into force after she moved into her
Oh,
home?
no, it goes back probably into
Okay.
the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
79, I think, is
Okay,
when they
I just
wrote
wanted
the
to make
code.
sure it wasn't there and then you moved in and we changed it, so it was there when you moved in. Okay.
The question that I have is if I have a garden that seems to be in violation of the agricultural use.
No, it
You don't have a
doesn't.
problem with that, but
No,
you
it
have a
No,
problem with
that is
That is-
incorrect. We've already clarified that issue. The bottom line is, the chicken is not considered a household pet.
I didn't say it was a household
No, you
pet,
didn't,
I
but you're
said it was
comparing
my
with-
pet.
You're comparing it with a dog.
Unfortunately, the way the code reads, you just cannot have it within 200 feet. It's been that way for a long time. As Michelle said, unfortunately, we even had a child that was autistic that we had to make him get rid of them. They were his pets. I have to agree, I don't see how we can change it.
Well, I'm still gonna ask for a 60-day extension because I'm gonna consult with the lawyer.
Okay, well, that's certainly your right.
Okay.
Well, in addition, in the meantime, your fencing material is something that's not allowed either. So when you look at your whole situation there, look into the accessory ordinance also and choose a type.
The only fencing regulation I read was chain link.
It said it had to be of wood, vinyl, or wrought iron, no chain link.
That's fine, I'm putting a wrought iron fence up as we speak.
Okay.
But you didn't say that it couldn't be galvanized wire, you stated that it could not be chain link. Again, your definitions are overly broad, and then you'll have a problem when people come in and say, I don't think that this is as specific as it needs to be. The only thing that is specifically not stated that you cannot have is chain link.
Well, we also state what types you can have. So it's either way you want to look at it, but it's in there.
Again, overly broad, you should probably be more specific. It states I can't have chain link, but it doesn't state I can't have galvanized wire.
Okay, are we allowing a 60-day extension, or are we not allowing a 60-day extension for her to go back?
That's your decision to make. She was given a 60-day extension, and apparently it runs out today, tomorrow.
I think.
So that's 120 days total so far?
No.
So just 60 days?
60 days,
So she's asking for an additional 60 days?
that's correct.
I'm in favor of giving her the 60-day extension.
I'll give her the 60-day extension.
I'm fine.
I have one request. Mrs. Martin, could you put your question in writing, address it to me, so we can transfer that to our attorney? We've spent a lot of money on definitions through our legal team, and I want to make sure that your question is answered correctly.
Good. I'm going to be at the zoning meeting next week, so I had all the stuff prepared for that. Here, I was just asking for the extension.
Then I have a question. Are we doing a 60-day, if the zoning meeting's in next week?
Well, I'm going to need the 60 days anyway, because they have to get it to their lawyer so we can look at the definition before they get back to me.
Okay. All right.
I also would say that's the final extension.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fine with me, because I'm not getting rid of my chicken, so we'll just call a lawyer.
Any other questions or comments from the community? Okay, we'll go into committee reports.
I didn't have a meeting, so obviously, I don't really have anything to say about that. And Dale, you might have, or somebody else might be saying, but how about we're one of the safest cities? Has anybody said anything about that today? Number 2?
We have not.
Oh, that's right, because police report did,
Yep.
skip right over
Number
that.
2, safest city. Let's not forget that.
Yes, you all received a copy of the chief's report, and you're absolutely right,
Good point.
person.
I just want to make sure everybody
Smith.
knows.
Yes, that we were, again, voted number 2 by SafeWise for top 10 safest cities.
That's all. I don't have anything else.
We know we're number 1.
Yeah, well, we know that, but let them put it number 2 if it makes them feel better.
All right, since our last meeting, where we had the presentation from Haley's Wish in regards to the new surfacing for the inclusive playground, in addition to the accessible inclusive slide, I have reached out to the fire department, and we will be doing a joint designer bag bingo with Haley's Wish, the Manchester Fire Department, and the town of Manchester, where 50% of the profits from that event will go towards directly to the playground for the surfacing. And we're looking at some,
We
two
don't have a
weekends
date
in
yet.
August.
Okay.
2 weekends in August, we're trying to figure it out. We want to have plenty of time to plan it and
Okay.
get sponsors and things.
Steve, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to read Trent's paper?
We all got it.
You all received it via email
Okay. All
to
right.
save
Fine.
time.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Okay.
The Sustainable Community Work Group meeting was held on November 7th, 2018, with very good attendance. We in fact had several new members who joined us, and the Sustainable Community application for renewal is still continuing. The Manchester Area Merchants Association meeting, to the best that I could determine, the next meeting is December 19th at noon at Dutch Corner. And just a reminder, on the 23rd of November, we had the old-fashioned Christmas with the tree lighting, and I thought it was a great success. Great success.
Thank you. Councilwoman Howe.
Oh, there was no meeting this month for the parks, so it's winter time, so everything's pretty quiet.
Okay. Okay, planning and zoning, we did meet last month, just simply to discuss introduction of ordinance 236. So we unanimously decided to go forward with recommending it to the council. So again, we'll be discussing that further next week,
Ooh, one thing I did forget, I'm sorry.
next month.
Thursday, we are hosting MML, the quarterly meeting for the county. We have approximately 60 people. I think our count is like 59 or 60 who are coming to Manchester
Okay.
for our quarterly meeting. We're in good shape for that.
Okay, very good. And as Steve mentioned, our youth representative, Trent, is not here this evening, so he sends his apologies. Before we adjourn, just a few reminders. As she mentioned, our MML dinner is this Thursday, December 13th, here at the Activities Building. That's a quarterly meeting that's held with towns throughout the Maryland Municipal League throughout Carroll County. That's just a standard meeting. And the next town council meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 8th at 7:30. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn, and then just mention that there will be a little reception following the meeting to honor a longtime important member of the town of Manchester. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Good night. Thank you, everybody.